Today, we take a closer look at Waxwork Records' Frankenstein's Monster Spinature and Mr. Bungle's new old album, The Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny Demo. Welcome to the TheSwearwolves YouTube channel. I'm David, and today we're going to take a look at Waxwork Records' Frankenstein's Monster Spinature, and then we'll take a look and give a listen to Mr. Bungle's quote-unquote new album, The Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny Demo. But let's start with the Spinature. Now, what is a Spinature, you might be asking yourself? Essentially, it's a figure that's designed to kind of sit on top of your record, so as it's spinning, the figure also spins. So the first one that Waxwork put out is Frankenstein's Monster. This is the front of the box. As you can see, it's labeled number 1. They have had some other ones that have come out with more on the horizon. But as you can see on the front, it's the Spinature's Frankenstein. Here's the side. We got some really cool artwork. The other side, just a window. And then on the back, we got some details. It says, "It's alive. Frankenstein's monster is one of the most recognizable and classic horror figures in history. Pieced together by various body parts and reanimated by electricity, Frankenstein's monster Spinature is here and ready to terrorize your turntable. Be your own mad scientist and command your horrid creation to spin along with your spookiest records. But don't forget, this monster possesses a murderer's brain. Buyer beware." Now you tell me. Great. All right. Well, let's open it up. I'm going to move the Mr. Bungle stuff out of the way and let's get a closer look at this Spinature. It's alive! All right, I've got Frankenstein's monster out of the box, and right off the bat, I can already tell I'm going to want to get all these. I think I've got all of them pre-ordered that are currently out there except for the mummy. I'll probably have to get him now. But I am very, very impressed with the detail. I mean, he's got the dead eyes going on. The prominent brow, you got some wrinkles in the forehead. I mean, look at the fingernails, how they're dark. This dude was goth before it was even a thing. The lapels on his coat, wrinkles in the elbow. I got some metal bracing here on his hand. On the other side, you can see scarring from where he was pieced together, or stitches rather. Got the bolts in the neck. Same deal on the other side. I'm just try to get him in close here. Just a ton of detail. A lot of texture. Yeah, this is really, really cool. Again, just the texture in the coat or the jacket just looks really neat. Yeah, I am very impressed. So looking forward to getting him on the turntable. But before we do that, let's take a look at that Mr. Bungle record. All right, if you've never heard of Mr. Bungle, this is a band fronted by Mike Patton, who you might know from Faith No More. Mr. Bungle actually precedes his time in that band. He formed Mr. Bungle with a bunch of high school friends in 1985, and they continued to make music all the way until they initially split in 2000. What kind of music is Mr. Bungle? Yes, they do a little bit of everything. Their music is all over the map. Everything from rock to funk to metal, avant-garde, experimental jazz, doo-wop, you name it. Take every genre of music, toss it in a blender, and you've got Mr. Bungle. Lots of times they'll even shift genres like mid-song. This album does not do that. This is just a straight-up thrash record. And a little bit of background on this. So in 1986, they recorded a demo called The Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny. I had a bootleg of it at one point. I probably still have it laying around somewhere. It was like dubbed from a cassette, and it sounds really crappy and just really bad. So when they decided to get back together, they made a strange choice, and they said, rather than doing like a brand new album, let's revisit our very first demo, and let's make a straight up metal thrash album, and that's what they did. So they enlisted Scott Ian from Anthrax as well as Dave Lombardo from Slayer to kind of round out the lineup. And the result is this album, which is a re-recording of all of their old songs that they wrote when they were like 16 years old. And it is bonkers. So we'll play a little bit of it. There's also a horror connection to this album, and I'll show you that here in just a moment. But first, let's kind of go over the record. This is the hype sticker that I took off the front. I just kind of wanted to show that because Mr. Bungle does have a cool logo, and it's basically the Warner Brothers logo, flipped upside down. But the hype sticker says Mike Patton, Trey Spruance, Trevor Dunn, Dave Lombardo, and Scott Ian. And it says neon green double vinyl, tour exclusive, and we'll get to that tour part here in just a moment. Also included on the inside is a download card. Let's flip it over. On the back, we've got the track list, and as you can see, written in a very metal font. On the inside of the record, first sleeve, Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny. Got this dude showing you his butt. On the flip side here, we've got the logo, the rabbit skull, and the upside down pentagram. Very evil. Second sleeve, same deal. We got a bigger version of the Easter Bunny. And then on the other side, you got the band members themselves. So that's Mike Patton there in the middle. That's Trevor Dunn, the bass player. That's Trey Spruance, lead guitar. Dave Lombardo on drums. Scott Ian on rhythm guitar. And then the credits. The vinyl is this really cool neon green. Now this version, I think they only pressed 1,000 of them. So, as it said on the sticker, tour variant or tour exclusive. They had a whole tour planned for this album, but because of COVID, they weren't able to do it. But on Halloween, they did an online show. So you could purchase a digital ticket and then stream the show. I did that. It was awesome. And it was really cool. I mean, just like going to a concert, they had a virtual merch table where you could buy, t-shirts and stuff like that. So when I bought my digital ticket, I bought this version of the album with the green vinyl. I also bought a t-shirt, and I was fortunate enough to be one of 100 people to score a signed copy of a poster from the show. And that's where the horror part comes in. But before that, I want to show you one more thing. If CDs are more your thing, this is another version of the album that they put out. And they call this, I think, the yearbook variant. So this is a CD, but it's a book. And if you go through it, it's got different pictures. It's got pictures of the band. It's got old flyers from shows that they did back in the day. I'm not going to go through every page, but just really cool stuff. And then it even has like little things about the band members themselves, just kind of jokey kind of stuff. But I thought that was a cool touch, just seeing. I think it's always fun, especially as a musician, when you can look back and see like your crappy flyers and stuff. Like, I just always found that fascinating. So, very cool. But let me show you that poster, and yeah, check it out. All right, so here it is, Mr. Bungle, The Night They Came Home. So very much like John Carpenter's Halloween, except we got a jack-o'-lantern with flames coming out of it, so it's making the Easter Bunny face, and you can see instead of a hand, we got a paw here. Got the butcher knife. And then down here it says Halloween 2020. Trevor Dunn, Scott Ian, Dave Lombardo, Mike Patton, and Trey Spruance. A virtual live concert experience. Rated R. Rambos must be accompanied by guardian or priest. Violence, gore, blasphemy, witchcraft, nerds, bunny nudity, and vomiting. Awesome. So, as you can see, the poster's signed by the band. So that's Dave Lombardo, the drummer, on the paw. We got Trevor Dunn, the bass player, over here. Come around here, we got Trey Spruance, lead guitar. Up here we got Scott Ian. And then Mike Patton right here. Just a quick aside, if you ever want to go down a fun YouTube rabbit hole, especially if you're unfamiliar with the music of Mike Patton, just look up Mike Patton vocal range. I think he's got a 6-octave vocal range, which I think is like the biggest in rock, in all of rock music. He does not really flex his range on this particular album. As you're going to hear in just a moment, this is very, very thrash. It's also super badass. So I'm going to break out the turntable here and let's give it a listen.
You are a bold and courageous person, afraid of nothing. High on a hilltop near your home, there stands a dilapidated old mansion. Some say the place is haunted, but you don't believe in such myths. One dark and stormy night, a light appears in the topmost window in a tower of the old house. You decide to investigate, and you never return.
So that is Waxwork Records' Frankenstein's Monster Spinature and Mr. Bungle's The Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny. If you liked this video, please hit like button, subscribe. Yeah, good advice. We release videos on a regular basis, some horror related, some not so horror related. We also have the TheSwearwolves podcast, a weekly podcast in which we discuss all things horror. New episodes every Monday. Please check us out wherever you listen to podcasts. And until next time, for the TheSwearwolves, I'm David.